It is 126 days till the man burns, and today we're talking about how camping works at Burning Man. The short and the simple answer is it's kind of a free-for-all. You will get a map when you go in, and it will have shaded out areas. It's kind of a half clock shape, and it has streets going out and around. And you will see shaded out areas. So those areas, they are not for you, they are for theme camps. And obviously the big bit in the middle, that's not for camping either. So somewhere on the grid, but just not in the shaded areas. So if you arrive at night, welcome to the danger zone. It is not a good time to be driving around trying to find a camping spot. It's best to just park up your vehicle wherever you can and just wait it out till morning or daylight. Plus, your neighbours are probably not going to appreciate you noisily trying to set up your camp in the dark. And it's quite dangerous to do it in the dark, so it's best to just kind of hunker down for the night and wait until it's light. If you arrive in the day or you waited for the daylight, then, get set up, go for it, find your spot and start getting things ready. With theme camps, even though you have the shaded out areas on the maps, it can be a bit hard to figure out where exactly the borders are, when you're on the ground. And so they're usually roped off with blue flags, and that means, that's a reserved spot for a theme camp and you cannot camp there. And be careful because sometimes, the theme camps can be huge. So sometimes you'll think that you're in a clear area, but really you're inside of a roped off area. It's just so huge you don't see it. With your actual, where to camp, where is the best spot at Burning Man to camp? It kind of depends on you and what you're looking for. If you are a daytime person, you want to get up with the sun, do some yoga and meditate, you probably don't want to be right next to a sound camp because there's going to be a lot of noise and it's going to go on all night while you're trying to sleep. But if you're planning to party all night, you're probably not going to mind being next to a sound camp. It is worth checking in advance and working out, what theme camps are where, which areas are going to be very noisy. Obviously in the centre, most of that is theme camps, but sometimes you will find spots up there, but they're very high traffic areas, so they're going to be quite noisy. Whereas, further back towards the outskirts, it's not going to be as crowded, there's going to be less people around, less noise, things like that. You generally want to avoid being next to porta potties because, they smell and they're noisy because everyone bangs the doors. Kind of looking for that perfect distance to a portaloo where it's not so far away that, you need your bicycle and it's a mission to get there, but it's not so close that, the smell is wafting into your camp or you're getting all the noise from the portaloos all the time. A lot of people that are staying in tents, they prefer to avoid areas where there's a lot of RVs. You'll see them as, like a wall of RVs. Because, they run their generators. And RVs have got kind of a bad reputation at Burning Man because the people that come in RVs often kind of stay inside their RVs a lot. They're not very participatory. Is that a word? Participatory. They don't participate and just kind of sit inside their air-conditioned boxes. So a lot of people like to avoid them. If you are bringing an RV and camping, in amongst tents and shade structures and things, then be considerate of the people around you. Don't aim your RV so it's like shooting fumes into someone else's camp, and don't run your generator at, stupid times, things like that. It's considered good etiquette to talk to your neighbours before you start putting up all of your stuff. Say hi to them, make sure they're not saving that space for maybe someone that's coming later in the week. Some people have something against saving a spot for someone that's coming later in the week and trying to stop other people camping there because it is a first come, first serve camping situation. But do you really want to end up in an argument with your neighbours over where you're camping before you've even started Burning Man? Because you're going to be living next to them for the rest of the week. It's much easier to just go off and find another spot. With neighbours, you also want to kind of find out what kind of experience they're going for. If you're there and you want to party all night and you want to really go crazy, you probably don't want to be camped next to, a family with a couple of little kids because it's just going to make it awkward for everyone. Think about how much space you're taking up as well. If there's 4 of you, you don't need a huge expanse of land for your camp. Be reasonable about it. Have enough space so that your camp is comfortable and nice and you can all, enjoy it without being on top of each other. But don't make it so big that you're just taking up a load of space and no one else can camp there. Be prepared for land grabbers and try not to be a land grabber. I think everyone's had it where someone, puts their tent just at the edge of someone else's and slowly kind of moves into another camp space. That's why it's good to talk to your neighbours first, because, maybe you'll have a solo burner there that you're like, oh, hey, do you want to put your tent under our shade structure so you have some nice shade? Like, be neighbourly, help each other out. I do advise that you set up as soon as you get there, because once everyone in your camp has headed off out to explore, it can be hard to get everyone back at the same time so that everyone can set up. But if you're going to ignore that advice and you do want to explore first, then consider marking out your area, rope it off or put things so it's clear that this is an area that you are taking up, but you're just not setting up just yet. Otherwise, you might come back and find that someone has set up it right where you guys intended to set up. If you are someone that has people coming later in the week and you've, roped off an area, you're saving it for them, and then they don't show up, release that area. Once you're sure they are not coming, release that area so that someone else can camp there if they want to. There is a walk-in camping area that is usually not very heavily populated. So it's a place where you can't bring your vehicle even to drop stuff off. You need to get all of your gear out there yourself. But if you do that, you get rewarded with, a quieter camping spot, less people around, a bit more, space around you. But then you are also kind of a bit more isolated. Obviously, you can set up near other people if you want to. But, it really depends what you're looking for. There is plenty of space, so, don't worry if you don't find somewhere immediately. Just, keep looking. There is plenty of space. You might not end up getting the exact spot you want, but you'll find somewhere. It'll be fine. There's enough room for everyone. There is a parking area for vehicles. So a lot of people just have their vehicles as part of their camp. They use it as part of the shade. But, if you want to, you can stick it in the parking area. Because, there's a lot going on and there is a risk that your car, it may get damaged somehow. It might get scratched. Something bad could happen to it. So if you're worried about it, you could bring your vehicle in to drop everything off and then put it in the parking area. There have been a few car disasters at Burning Man. There's kind of an unwritten rule that if you set up so that your camp is facing out onto the street, if you have like a sitting area and stuff, then while it's not considered like an open camp that anyone can walk into, it kind of is considered a camp where people, walking past might say hey, they might stop in for a little chat or something. If you want a bit more privacy in your camp, then if you turn it inwards so you're facing like into the camps instead of out onto the road, then that's considered like more private and people will kind of know, or most people will know, you don't want people walking into your camp and saying hi or stopping for a chat or anything. Remember that setup is a team effort. If you're a first timer and you don't really know how to do stuff and everyone else is very experienced, remember there's always small things that you could be doing to help. You could be unpacking things from the car or setting up tents, which isn't that complicated, or, getting things for people, if they need something, bring them that thing. Ask the people around you, what can I do to help you, or can I give you a hand with that? Because, you've just got there and you don't want to create bad vibes within your camp because someone feels like they had to do all the work in setup and this other person just did nothing and wasn't even attempting to be useful in any way. So I hope this was helpful, and if anyone else has any other tips, advice, suggestions, things like that, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, if you see me at Burning Man this year, feel free to come and say hi to me. Bye guys!